Hello! I'm going to untap and hold priority. Kira.
Hello. Untap 5 lands, repeat, profit. I'm Meia.
Welcome. This is our very first episode of Raise the Standard, a podcast about Magic's best format.
Most exciting format.
Most revivified format.
The most shiny, new, refurbished. It's such a good format.
It does feel like a new format.
It really does. It really does. Better than Pioneer, just saying. It is very, very exciting. I'm so happy that we're finally here.
I've not been able to contain my excitement all morning. Today she is born. We are raising the standard and waving our flag, and we are celebrating the standard format.
We absolutely are. We're celebrating standard with the wonderful Sir Reginald.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Afternoon. Good evening, depending on who and where you are and what time you are listening to this. Welcome. My name's Kira. I am one half of this deliciously standard podcast. I've been playing Magic consistently now. This will be going on 5 years, which is very exciting. I started around 2020, a very normal time, a normal year to start playing Magic. My experience with Magic started on Arena, actually, because this was during the dark times. And I started as a grindy best of one player. Can you believe it?
I can.
Yeah, I give off grindy best of one vibes. And this was around the Zendikar Rising, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, Kaldheim's Strixhaven standard era is when I started. But it was a format that caught my attention and I fell in love with. Standard was the first format that I ever played. And I moved from standard into draft or limited, depending on your jargon. I moved into Commander, as a lot of players do. Commander is the most popular format that Magic has.
By quite a margin, yeah.
By not even a competition between any other format. And I 360'd and turned back to playing Standard, and this time playing best of three, playing proper Standard, which has been incredibly exciting. And I've been really enjoying how much Standard has changed from when I started to now, because it's gone through some pretty significant changes from Zendikar Rising era to now. And I couldn't be happier. I think seeing this change has been really exciting, and getting people back into the format has been really cool. And as a relatively new player, understanding the history of Standard and the history of play has been a whole new world to explore. I would like to pretend I don't have a favorite archetype when I'm playing Standard. If I'm being honest, I would like to say I enjoy a little bit of everything. I'm always curious about what's at the top of the meta. I'm curious about what's won a recent event, what most recently was in the top 8 at an RCQ or at Worlds or at some other Standard Showdown event. But I do love a combo deck in Standard. I'll be honest, I do like a combo deck in Standard. And we've seen Teamer Otters is one of those in Standard currently, as well as a bit ago we had Calamity combo. And both of those were quite exciting. But I'm going to move to my end step and pass to my much more competent half, Meia.
Competent is a stretch, but hello, my name is Meia. I use she, her pronouns. I have been playing Magic for longer than I care to admit. I've been playing since Theros, which I think was either 2010 or 2011. So we're approaching the 15-year mark. I have a reasonable amount of experience with Magic. My first couple of years were, of course, your classic kitchen table nonsense. I remember my first deck was an 130-card pile of white and black cards that I got from a deck builder's toolkit. So that was pretty incredible. And then shifted to Commander. I was going to say before it was popular. That's not true. It was always popular. But shifted to Commander sort of around the 2013, 2014 mark, and just played, classic schoolyard, on the bench, across the table, terrible, terrible cards, Commander.
Sleeveless?
No, we were never quite that much of a barbarian because we did know how much some cards cost. Back in those days, we weren't going to play our Supreme Verdicts unsleeved. Countermands were unsleeved, but not our Supreme Verdicts, which of course made for a fun pile of colourful cards, but that is always the way. Then I moved into a little bit of competitive Magic, playing Modern mostly, because that was the format of the era. That was what all the GPs were and what all the RCs were and what the most popular format was at Friday Night Magics. And then I took a bit of a break. We were AWOL for 2 or 3 years, mostly through the time where you started playing, where you were grinding on that arena standard best of one, which we love for you.
It's a special place.
Yeah, to have that be your start is...
It was a choice.
I was going to say it is, I'm glad you're still here, you know? It is
It's a miracle.
It's a testament to your resilience, for sure. But then I came back kind of with the advent of Pioneer, because there was a cheaper Eternal format that I could play that had a couple of decks that I really liked. I love me a combo deck, but I was playing Blue at Control through Pioneer all the way, and then I became a judge, and my ability to play events basically disappeared.
I was going to say something incredible that you bring to the table is that you are a judge, as you've said.
Yeah. So I'm a level 1 judge. I have been for coming up on 2 years now, I want to say. I think 19, 20 months or something like that. And yeah, look, I love being a judge. It's amazing. It's like playing, but you always come second. I have my finger pretty deeply across the Magic communities, at least the local ones. And I do actually get to play a bunch of events, and I get to see all the top decks. I also am part of a committee who runs a testing team and a club through Monash University. And yeah, no, it's great. My favorite archetype is combo. I love me a slow grindy combo deck that's looking to bring the game out as long as possible and then killing you out of nowhere. The absolute classic being the old modern ad nauseum deck or legacy high tide. Give me some non-deterministic nonsense, like really long form combo, and you'll have my heart forever. So from here, as I understand it, you're going to take me through standard. You're going to bring the old man yells at cloud naysayer, who, as much as I love judging standard events, does not get the ability to play. And you're going to take me through the standard formats, all the ups and the downs. You're going to teach me about decks and mulliganing. I'm going to lend a hand where I can when it comes to the eternal Magic concepts and where it comes to rules. But I think the idea is that, you love standard. I'm interested in standard and I'm ready to love it. And it's just a matter of, we're going to chat. We're going to find out what this is all about. And we're going to see if this really is, it really is the format for the long haul. If this is going to truly become the fun, accessible Wizards TM competitive format.
Well, I can't wait.
I'm so excited.
Let's talk.
So I do have a few questions prepared because I need to feel out, I'd like to feel out from a veritable standard expert kind of what standard is like these days. So as a player that doesn't have quite as much historical baggage as I do, why would you say standard is fun right now? Standard
is fun right now because it is, as you've said, it's not solved. It is a very open format at the minute. It is a rotating format, which is to say that the sets that are currently legal within the format rotate in and out on a predetermined schedule. We're actually due for rotation this year in August. We will see Dom United, Brothers War, All Will Be One, March the Machine, and March of the Machine Aftermath rotate out of standard. Throughout the year, however, new sets will be added into the standard roster. We will soon have Aether Drift. Very soon we will have Aether Drift, followed by Tarkir Dragonstorm, and then the first standard legal Universes Beyond set, Final Fantasy, and then so on and so forth. Because of rotation, and with the new sets being printed, standard changes on a much more frequent pace. This lends itself to new synergies being cultivated, new combos being perfected.
Standard throughout the ages, and I'm going to jump on my soapbox here for a little bit, has
Please.
Been profoundly hit or miss. It has either been the best format to play, and that lasts for about a month, or it has been utterly miserable. Is now, of all times, a good time to be getting into Standard? For me, for experienced players, for newer players, for people coming from Commander, is now the time?
There's a saying that the best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. The second best time is today. And I like to change that to say the best time to get into Magic was 30 years ago.
Sure.
And the second best time is today. I think there is no better time to start playing Standard than right now. Right now being when you're listening to this. Right now being today, in the past, when this was recorded, then tomorrow, then the next day, then the next FNM at your LGS. Standard has gone through a massive overhaul in the last 5 years even. And it has seen some significant changes, not only in the way that Standard works, but in the tournament level support for the format. There's obviously still some room to grow and improvements to be made. But when you're reviving what has been not so subtly referred to as a dead format, you have to start somewhere.
I guess the next thing I kind of want to ask about is archetypes and deck formats. Because kind of, as I've already said, I am a combo degenerate. I love to play my high synergy combo decks that are doing absolute nonsense. And historically, Standard formats haven't had the level of synergy or the level of sort of just like natural card power that is required to make those decks functional. In fact, the best decks historically have usually been the cards that, on average, your cards have the highest card quality, or mid-range decks, as we'll talk about in a future episode. Why would I want to play the same mid-range mirror 5 times a tournament? I don't know about you, but as much as people have very fond memories of, your Abzan, Thoughtseize, Brain Maggot, Siege Rhino mirror matches, they don't really tickle my fancy.
So where Standard thrives, I think, is the fact that it has such a high propensity for change. It changes constantly. It is what I would consider a very living format, especially when you take into consideration things like rotation and keeping things fresh and current. That being said, copying up against the mirror, especially a mid-range mirror, can be a massive headache. And when we say mirror, we're meaning a deck that is identical or almost identical to the deck you are playing. Being able to play the mirror is especially important when both players are on a mid-range list. It often comes down to which player has the better draws and who is the better pilot of the deck as well is also something. What I will say is that I have seen combo decks thrive in the tournament scene here. We have some incredible combo minds here. A regular grinder and very good player, Ben, has piloted numerous combo decks to victory at RCQs and other high-level qualifying events. Off the top of my head, I know he's run Calamity Combo and Teamer Otters, both of which are explosive game-winning combo decks. As you've said before, it is a slow, stay alive, and I'll kill you in one turn type of deck.
Time for perhaps the more relatable and less pleasant element of Magic the Gathering. Unfortunately, I don't really have the infinite money required to play a rotating format. So why would I play Standard when in 12 months half my deck will be Chef again? I've had the experience in Modern where I got to play ad nauseum for 4 or 5 years before the advent of what I call rotating Modern, which is the beginning of the Modern Horizons sets and stuff like that, which were very, very good for freshening up Modern at the time, but did also unfortunately price me out of the format. So why would I buy into that idea again with Standard?
So we have not yet cracked the infinite money glitch.
Unfortunate.
No. I very much hear you on that. However, Wizards has attempted to rectify some of these issues with Standard over the last couple of years. Most notably was the introduction of Foundations, a 5-year non-rotating core to create, if you will pardon, a foundation for Standard to stand on.
Sure.
And additionally, Wizards has extended Standard's rotation season by a year. This change came about in 2023. Wizards announced that Standard rotation would happen every 3 years instead of every 2, which increases the number of sets legal at a time in Standard from 8 to 12. Overall, this furthers the lifespan of the cards that you have and the card pool available in Standard. There's something also to be said about the overall power creep in the format. Cards are getting better and better and better, and each new set brings even more powerful cards with it. Kind of going back to what I said earlier, there's no better time to get into Standard now. With Foundations as a core and with the, say, 5 most recent sets being some of the most powerful currently, you're not having to go back very far into the coffers to pull out those hyper powerful cards. You are getting them every single set. They're coming out frequently. They're readily available now. And we've seen as well the price of standard decks come down significantly over the last couple of years. That's not to say they're cheap in the $50 USD range, but they're oftentimes sub 200 USD, which compared again against most Pioneer decks and modern decks is far more achievable and is closer to the price range of your average Commander deck these days. Not a pre-con, those are kind of excluded because they have a out-of-the-box price. A Commander deck that you yourself built and got the singles for, most Commander decks that I see probably start around the 200 US dollar range, unless you're building budget Commander. So the format, as I see and as I've seen change, it's more accessible than ever, it feels. And there is an attempt from various stores to make Magic in general more affordable and more accessible. Beyond just having welcome decks to learn how to play Magic, there's stores that have Commander decks that on their Commander nights are available to be borrowed. And so that's completely removing the barrier to entry to get people playing the format. Plenty of Games as well has standard decks that are available to be borrowed at locals. And so you can get into the format, you can dip your toes into the format without that fear of these cards are going to rotate and I'm not going to be able to use them in standard anymore. What's the point? So kind of alleviating that pressure and alleviating that fear from both the Wizards angle, from having a Foundations 5-year core and from increasing rotation from 2 to 3 years, you have 12 sets instead of 8, and through stores' efforts as well to try and revive the format.
For those of you not familiar, Plenty of Games is sort of the largest and most popular game store in the Melbourne CBD, so in Victoria. And they are famously very good on accessibility. And I actually didn't know that they provided standard decks for people to play with come locals. So, hey, maybe I will come down and jam with one of the decks and see if dipping my toe into the format like that will be a way to sort of, whet my appetite.
And you don't have to fear. The lists that are available to be borrowed are not budget lists. They're not fringe lists. 2 out of 3 of them are currently top of the meta. Well, look, where do we go from here?
To Plenty of Games, I expect.
You're actually not wrong. I think I am going there after this.
We go and we play some standard. You have convinced me to at least try. I will continue to judge some standard events, and I will try to get a standard event in this week. See how it feels. See if the format is exciting enough for me to want to continue to play going forward. Although from the way you've described it, I'm excited. I think it's going to be good. There are a couple of decks that, from judging and from the little bit I have played, they pique my interest. There's nothing I like more than a little bit of a grind fest sometimes, and Mono White Token seems to be doing that for me. So, you know what? We'll see how it goes. Will I see you there? Will I see you at the standard event this week?
Absolutely. Well, look, the work is only beginning. I've gotten you into standard, but the goal is to get everyone to play standard.
Absolutely. Everyone should try at least once.
Everyone should try to play standard at least once. Maybe twice, maybe 3 times, maybe a best of 3.
Best of 3.
Give it a go.
Well, one tournament, right? One 4-round tournament.
At least one tournament.
8-person Swiss. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Raise the Standard. We're excited to bring you even more standard content each week, with new episodes releasing on Mondays at 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. You can find and follow us across social media at RaiseMTG. Until next time, remember, even rats hoard their treasures. Are your precious things so different?